Hello and welcome to day 3 of our series about getting back into shape using exclusively physical fitness methods of the 19th century and the early 20th century. Today's episode is about Swedish free gymnastics or 19th century calisthenics. And if you haven't seen them already, if you're coming new to this series, I suggest you watch the first video in this series as well as the one we just did introducing you to the history of 19th century calisthenics and Swedish free gymnastics, as they were called at the time. Today I'm going to film my newest workout and demonstrate a number of exercises from history that I've only just begun practicing, which represent merely a small fraction of the Swedish method. Originally, these exercises would not have been practiced in modern sets and repetitions, as you'll see today, but were performed as part of vast routines, either pre-choreographed like a dance, or called out by an instructor, in which one exercise flowed into the next. The order was very important, as the subsequent exercise would provide stretching or give relief to the previous exercise done just seconds before. Today, however, for the sake of clarity and demonstration, I am breaking down and showing the exercises individually. In the following workout, any asymmetrical exercise, for instance with right foot forward, will be followed by the reverse version of the same exercise, for instance with left foot forward. And although I perform them all, I have edited out the reverse versions of all but 2 exercises for the sake of brevity. We will thus begin with the easier exercises and progress to some of the more difficult. You will notice me executing some motions with my arms, fists, and feet that may seem superfluous. However, form and precision was very important in the Swedish method, its approach somewhat resembling that of a traditional martial art, where everything you do matters. There was a formal and precise way to enter and exit every exercise, and I am attempting to be true to that today. To give an idea of the importance of form, one of the Swedish treatises I am basing this on takes a full page and a half to describe the most basic standing position that you see here. Exercise 1. Yard walk standing with heel elevation and arm extension upward. This exercise immediately became one of my favorites. It appears extremely easy, but is not. You rise on the back toe while transferring all your body weight to the lead foot, at the same time reaching for the sky while looking up. It is surprisingly easy to stumble or fall while doing this, and I did so many times while learning it, as have others that I have shown this to who thought it ridiculously easy when they first saw it. It also left me with sore shoulders, remarkable for an exercise requiring no weights or resistance of any kind aside from gravity. As with most Swedish exercises, deep breathing is a key component. Inhaling for a count of 2 while stretching up, holding for a count of 1, and exhaling back down in a count of 2. Exercise 2. Stretch walk back standing with sideways flexion. This is basically a stretching and trunk bend exercise, and on the surface appears quite simple. However, the challenge in the mechanics and the movement stems from the very specific orientation of the feet, which you see illustrated here. Exercise 3. Toe support walk in B standing position with knee flexion. In this exercise, the back heel begins elevated and must then come down to the floor as the body sinks. The challenge lies in keeping the torso erect, the back arched, and the head looking upward all the while, which makes maintaining one's balance and smoothness a challenge. Exercise 4. Fall out in D stretch position, followed by stretch half kneeling with backward flexion. The main difficulty in this exercise comes just after the arching or flexion of the back. You will notice that as I rise, the back toe is pointed while it grazes the floor. This forces me to place 100% of my body weight on the front leg, as though rising from a very deep one-legged squat. Exercise 5. Fall out in A wing position with heel elevation. In this ingenious exercise, one enters into fallout position A and then elevates the heel of the lead foot while further inclining one's torso ever so slightly, as represented by the dotted line, creating an intense burn in the front quadricep. It's an example of the brilliance of Ling's method, wherein minimalist motion is used to produce a great effect. Exercise 6. Half stretch side fall position with leg elevation. This one is similar to some modern exercises termed side leg raises or lifts. Those may indeed be descendants of the Swedish one. However, the stretched extended upper arm, which you see here, makes balance more difficult. Exercise 7. Stretch lying double leg elevation. Again, this is similar to some modern leg raise exercises. However, the extreme slowness, as well as the extension of the arms above the head with palms facing up, increases the difficulty. Exercise 8. Stoop falling position with arm flexion and leg elevation. Admittedly, I have never much liked push-ups, there being of course many modern variations such as the one-armed, the clap push-up, the dive bomber, etc. However, this Swedish version has become my favorite. As you can see, it works the hamstrings of the elevated leg, which alternates, and the 3 rather than 4 points of contact with the floor ensures that the muscles of the grounded leg are engaged much differently and intensely. It is performed slowly, 2 counts exhaling while descending, 2 counts inhaling while holding position, 2 counts exhaling while rising, 2 counts breathing in while holding position, and repeat. Exercise 9. double knee flexion to courtesy sitting position. This is one of the oldest documented exercises we're doing today, as the image you see comes from an 1836 text authored by Ling himself. While the deep knee flexion is strenuous, the challenging nature of this exercise is compounded by the requirement of performing it on one's toes while maintaining a completely erect torso without any leaning forward, all of which requires good balance. The more advanced the student, the more slowly this exercise is performed, and the more difficult it becomes. Exercise 10. Stride double knee flexion to courtesy standing position. This exercise is similar to the previous one, except it is performed from a wider stance. As with the last, it is performed while elevated on one's toes. Exercise 11. Yard horizontal half-standing knee flexion. This classic Swedish exercise was, for me, the most difficult of all the ones you see here today. I am performing the version with the yard position of the arms, shown in the vintage footage, rather than the even more difficult stretch position shown in the illustrations. Admittedly, I had to practice this several times prior to today's filming to be able to perform it without losing balance. The extreme difficulty lies in the one-legged knee flexion performed at the midpoint of the exercise, as you see represented by the dotted line. It is very challenging to keep one's body horizontal during this phase. I also found that rising from this knee flexion to the original position while maintaining balance was even more difficult than initially entering the position. As you can see from many of these exercises, balance plays a much larger role in Swedish calisthenics than it does in modern fitness routines today, possibly recalling aspects of historical dance and ballet. So that's it for today's video, 19th century calisthenics, Swedish free gymnastics. Hope you've enjoyed it. All in all, I feel pretty good. It's not a super intense cardio workout, but between the physical exercises and all the deep breathing, I feel very invigorated, feel really good, kind of like you do after a really good yoga session or a qigong or something like that. That's all for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please join us next episode when we'll be getting into 19th century dumbbell exercises, which are going to probably look a lot different than any dumbbell exercises you're used to seeing modern times today. Anyway, thank you again. Have a great day. Hope you've enjoyed it.